Welcome to Top Terms Every PM Should Know, Part 2. I'm going to go over 5 top terms in simple, easy to understand descriptions, and then at the end, pull all of those together so that you know how they work together. This will help you in your journey as a project manager. So let's go ahead and get started with the first term. The kickoff meeting is the first formal meeting between the project manager, key project team members, and the customer after the project has been funded. At this meeting, it will formally establish the relationship between the PM and the customer, as well as the project team with the customer. This allows the customer to get more information about who will be staffing the project from the project team perspective. And more importantly, it will allow the project manager to clearly identify any areas where there is misunderstanding or there needs to be more information on the clarity of the scope, project charter, or any other authorizing document that is going to determine the success of the project or to be used as a qualifier for determining the success of the project. This meeting is extremely important. So although you may have interacted with the customer by email or even a short phone call or a quick debrief, the formal kickoff meeting is where everything gets started for the project. You will get an understanding of the tone that the customer prefers. All of these are nonverbal cues that you can use throughout the remainder of the project to deliver successfully for the customer. Examples of agenda items that you'll want to include in the kickoff meeting. Of course, a review of the project purpose, again, clarifying any project activities as well as any formal deliverables that relate to those project activities and any performance measures associated with the project. Next, let's talk quality control. This is a very important aspect of project maintenance and documentation of the project. Quality control includes the review of a documented deliverable, project artifact, process, anything associated with the project that is documented to remove errors and inconsistencies. Completion of this review will confirm a standard of quality has been met before submitting deliverables or sharing project artifacts with stakeholders. So primarily the stakeholder that deliverables would be submitted to are the customer, but other stakeholders related to the project, including senior leadership and other key decision makers. You want to establish an expectation across stakeholders that deliverables will always be of a certain level of quality. You can establish that early on, and this is a very easy win for any project manager. It takes time, but it is well worth it. Next, the RACI. That stands for responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. This is usually documented in a matrix format, and it identifies the responsibilities on the project for relevant internal and external stakeholders that have a role in one or more aspects of implementation, decision-making, or back office support. So this is an internal resource document that the project manager and the project team members will frequently refer to ensure that the right stakeholders are incorporated into the process, but are also made aware of aspects of the project as needed. And very importantly, when a decision needs to be made or an action needs to be taken, the PM can refer to the RACI to ensure that all of the necessary individuals have been contacted or are kept in the loop. this will change throughout the project only because it's likely that team members may change. Additional stakeholders may join the project throughout the period of performance of the project, and any other number of changes may occur. In any of the cases, you want to maintain and keep the RACI updated. The risk register, another critically important document and term that project managers need to know. The risk register, or the risks and issues log, is a running log of every potential risk and realized issue or problem on the project, along with an identified mitigation strategy or solution for every one of those problems. At the outset of the project, there will be some risks. Even the best developed project will have some risk that you can identify. It may not be a lot, but there may be a couple of risks that the project manager identifies early on in the project. Document these from the very beginning. Risk management is a critical component of project management, and the project manager should be maintaining this and also reviewing this internally with the project team, and also making the customer aware of any risks and issues that are encountered. And most importantly of all of this, when communicating to a customer, you want to be sure that every single item included on the risk register has a proposed solution or a mitigation strategy. It does no good to have identified a risk or to have documented an issue with no solution in sight. Acceptance is related to formal deliverables. So for some projects, deliverables must be formally accepted and documented as being accepted by the customer to confirm that the project is on track. Final approval is received from the customer following review of submitted deliverables that confirm the requirements for the deliverable have been satisfied and that the deliverable can be formally documented as complete. This is extremely important because for some projects, the confirmation of a successful project is dependent on deliverables being submitted to the customer and being formally documented as approved. Finally, how do we bring all of these terms together? So we talked about the kickoff meeting, quality control, the RACI, risk register, and acceptance. All of these are important terms that you will hear regularly as part of your project manager role and throughout your project management career in whatever position you find yourself in. So how do we bring these 5 terms together and demonstrate demonstrate the systems thinking approach of project management? So first, you have the kickoff meeting. The kickoff meeting clarifies those project details, requirements, and deliverables with the customer. It's not just restating what's in the project charter or what's in the scope of work. It is clarifying from PM to customer exactly what the expectations are. Is what's on paper different than what the customer expects? If that's the case, that's an area to explore further. All of these things can be identified and clarified during the kickoff meeting. Next, quality control. Quality control ensures the high standards of the deliverables, and it ensures the quality of deliverables. So once during the kickoff meeting, all of the specific and important requirements of the project have been confirmed and have been identified, as well as any formal deliverables confirmed, The quality control process will ensure that all of those deliverables are submitted with minimal issues or errors, and it sets up an expectation for the customer of what they will receive. And next is the RACI. It identifies the project roles and responsibilities. This is another foundational document and a term that you will hear often, especially during the early stages of a project, and then during the project when things might be not going the way you want. The RACI will help to identify who do you need to go to get something resolved and who needs to be aware of that resolution. The RACI, tied in with quality control, also helps to identify a quality control review chain. Depending on which deliverable, which aspect of the project, the PM can consult the RACI to determine who needs to be in that quality control chain. Next is the risk register. Again, the risk register monitors potential and realized project concerns, but the risk register also ties into the RACI because as risks are identified, it is also important to identify who not only will own the resolution of that particular risk, but also who needs to be made aware of that. So again, as you can see, each of these terms and each of these different aspects of the project are very much interrelated. And then finally, acceptance, pulling all of these things together. Acceptance confirms customer approval of deliverables that have been submitted. How does this tie into risk register, RACI, quality control, and the kickoff meeting? Well, if we work backwards, acceptance of the deliverables would be informed by the risk register, because by the time a deliverable is submitted to the customer for formal acceptance and approval, any potential risks or realized issues should have been addressed and mitigated. The deliverable that is submitted should be in its final version. If we continue to walk our way back on the RACI, you will know who needs to submit that deliverable. Usually it will be the PM, but in some cases it may be, depending on how large of a project and how large of a team, it may be a team lead that submits a deliverable. But in either case, the RACI will determine not only who submits deliverables, but who needs to be made aware when those deliverables are submitted. Continuing to work our way back on the terms, quality control. If there is a strong quality control process in place for the review of the deliverables, by the time it gets to submission, there should be minimal to no errors that the customer sees in that deliverable document. And then finally, walking our way all the way back to the kickoff meeting, all of the details around the deliverables, the expectation of quality for deliverables, the time frame for submitting deliverables, who they should be submitted to, and all of those other details would have been confirmed in the kickoff meeting. So now we'll move on to next steps. I hope these terms have been helpful to you and that you are able to start not only recognizing them in your day-to-day project management life, but also that you feel comfortable using them as a project manager. Since this is part 2, you just have to know there was a part 1, so check in the description for a link to part 1. And then also, you can like and subscribe to the PM Quick Tips channel for more take action tips to develop your project management expertise for day-to-day use. Practical project management expertise. Next, you can visit pmquicktips.com for project management tools, resources, articles, and other information and services to help develop your skills as a project management professional. And then finally, share this video with someone you know that also wants to become an expert project manager or who can use these simple, easy to understand terms in their day-to-day project manager life. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time from Project Management Quick Tips.